Yeah. So in Afghanistan, there used to be a monarchy at one point until 1973, and those were actually the best years for Afghanistan when it was still a monarchy. Ever since the monarchy was overthrown in 1973, the country has been in chaos for over 4 decades of just
been a
civil war.
torn country since then.
Since the 70s.
Yes.
And every country has tried to go in and fix it. Russia and now the U.S. And the U.S. is, I'll put up some stats. So a lot of people are unaware that the U.S. is even still in Afghanistan because it's not in the news as much, and a lot of people forgot, but it's still going on. This October it'll be 19 years. October 2001 is when the U.S. invaded. So the war in Afghanistan, over 2,000 American soldiers have died so far in it. The U.S. has spent over $2 trillion in Afghanistan, which I read is the GDP of Spain. Wow, can you believe that?
That's insane.
Spain is not a poor country.
That's insane.
And that's their GDP, over $2 trillion. And
so like I said earlier, Afghanistan is one of the poorest countries in the world. So this statistic, this is in 2017.
Okay.
The per capita GDP is estimated in 2017 as $2,000. And that's about 54% of the populations that live under poverty line.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
All that money the U.S. has poured in doesn't get to anybody.
Yeah, it's insane. When I was looking into it, I was like, wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's the problem. So we're talking about, secular solutions have not worked for Afghanistan.
Yeah.
The United States ultimately has a secular goal. It's not about spreading the gospel in Afghanistan.
Of course not.
No, they're trying to do a military conquest and then just pour a bunch of money in charity, but with the wrong people. And it has not made Afghanistan better. George W. Bush in 2002 announced, okay, we're going to do a Marshall Plan for Afghanistan in reference to rebuilding Europe after World War II. And said we're going to imitate that in Afghanistan, and it has not worked. Yeah. So the U.S. has tried to spend trillions in trying to rebuild their infrastructure, the roads and highways. Then the U.S. has tried to take on the opium production in Afghanistan, and it's failed at that. The U.S. tried to make Afghanistan democracy, and that's not working because the Afghan people, for the most part, don't care about that.
And opium's the most valuable export that the Afghanistan's. I mean, the world's largest opium trade is from Afghanistan.
Yes.
And that's how they make their most revenues from opium trade.
That's right. 80% of the world's heroin supply comes from Afghanistan. The other 20% comes from Burma. Yeah. And for a lot of Afghan people who don't have many resources, opium's the only thing that'll put food on the table for the family. And they know, I know that heroin is a terrible drug and people die terrible addictions from it. But their moral argument is like, if I don't do it though, my family's going to starve.
Yeah, for them it's a whole different scenario.
Yeah, so it's really difficult. And so when the U.S. tries to destroy the heroin stuff, but there's no alternatives that the U.S. gives, that just enrages the Afghan people more. Like, now you just took away my only source of income. Get out, invaders. Yeah. So these are the secular solutions. People try to use military solutions and all that to fix Afghanistan. It has not worked. As Christians, we believe the gospel is the only thing that's going to fix Afghanistan.
Not just Afghanistan, but the whole world.
The whole world.
The whole world.
But in really special cases like Afghanistan, it's more blatantly obvious that that's the only solution. So that brings us to what's being done to try to spread the gospel in Afghanistan. So I've been reading about, I'd say since after 2001, lots of foreign missionaries have been trying to go to Afghanistan, people from Europe and South Africa. Their successes, it's difficult to know how successful they've been. I looked at Voice of the Martyrs and I heard a story. So in 2014, a South African family, the Granawald family, who was in Kabul, they were on a mission trip for quite a few years there, and they were murdered in 2014 by the Taliban. Yeah. And only the mother, Haniel, survived.
Yeah, what you have to realize is the majority of the Afghanistani population is Muslim. So roughly 99%. That's right. Right? Yeah, 99%. Yeah. And I guess the amount of Christians there are in Afghanistan, I did a statistic on that. I think it was in 2019 was about 3,000 to 5,000.
And they all live in secret.
And all live in secret because if you're preaching anything else besides Islam, if a radical, if you come across a radical or a Taliban, they're gonna kill you.
Yeah.
That's what it tells you in the Quran. Kill the unbelievers.
Kill the infidel.
Which the Arabic word is kafir, which is the unbeliever.
Yeah.
And these guys, they're radicals. They just take the Quran literal.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you can make the argument that there's billions of Muslims in the world, and they're majority are peaceful, but these people, they're not the majority of the peaceful Muslims. They
and they don't play around.
Yeah, they don't play around. They read the Quran, they take it literally, and that's what it tells you to do, and that's what they're going to do. So that's why it's so scary and so dangerous to preach the gospel in Afghanistan or other countries like that. And they don't know from childhood. Like for me, for example, growing up, so in Islam, there's many sects in Islam, but the two majority sects are Sunni, which is the majority of the Islamic population, is about 90% or 85-90%.
Yeah.
The minority is Shia, is the Shia Islam, and they make up the probably 10%, and that's what my family is. And there's a whole conflict between the Sunnis and Shia that stemmed from the beginning of Islam, back when after Muhammad died, the 7th century, back when Muhammad died. That's a whole other topic, but so they've had political differences, and they've killed each other over the thousands of years, and or not thousands, hundreds of years, and so so my family was Shia Islam, and I was brought up, and Islam is the true faith. Everything is false. Christianity is false. This is false, and so what my parents try to do is they try to teach me to read the Quran in Arabic at a young age, and to pray and to do all these things. And by nature, I'm a rebellious person. I'm sure we all could attest to that. The Bible tells us none are good. We all turn away from good and everything, and we all want to live on our own desires and do what we want to do. So that was me. But from where I'm going with this is from childhood, you're brainwashed. You're taught these things that the Christians are unbelievers, the Jews are unbelievers. We are the true. If you ever convert, you're gonna dishonor your family. Yep, you're gonna be. For some really radical Muslims, you could get killed for that.
Honor killing.
Honor killing, exactly. And so that's why it's so dangerous to preach the gospel in
places like
Afghanistan. And just by leaving the faith, you could lose your life.
That's right. And so there's a lot of brave people who have tried to go and do the gospel in Afghanistan, go from Europe or South Africa or the United States. But you have to understand that they understand that there's no security for them by anybody. The Afghan government will not provide any security for the missionaries. Not even the U.S. military will provide security for foreign missionaries, because the U.S. military, like we said, has a different goal than Christianity. They're just trying to do whatever their own goal is. They're not concerned about protecting missionaries.
Yep, they're not concerned about the